Hello and welcome to another episode of Mad Mondays with Patrick and Celeste.
Where our Mondays are so mad, we have to broadcast on Thursdays. And we're back to Thursdays. Good to see.
We're back to Thursdays, finally.
We're going to start with some tennis news and Bernard Tomic in the news again.
Yeah, Bernie's been in the news again, unfortunately for the wrong reasons. It's not him this time as much as his dad, so Bernard looks like he's going to pull out of the French Open citing personal reasons. He's already pulled out of this week's Italian Open in Rome, citing personal reasons. And this has all come about because of his dad, John Tomic, headbutted his training partner, Thomas Drouet, in Spain the other week. And it's all gone to court. And earlier this week, they suspended the court hearing until October. But it's all been pretty in the media and all over the place at the moment. So Bernard's going through a bit of a tough patch at the moment. And so hopefully for him, he can get back on track and get back out on court soon. Yeah,
and I heard on the radio them comparing him, Tomic's dad, to Dokic's dad, Damir Dokic, from back in the day, and how that kind of hit her hard as well. Her tennis suffered because of it. So yeah, sure. It's not really what you want to see. Obviously, parents get into it, want their children to do well, but it's just a bit too far, and I do not like seeing it at all. No,
and being 53 in the world at the moment, being as high as mid-20s, I think at one stage last year, after his good run at Wimbledon a couple of years ago, and he had a good run at the Australian Open earlier this year, so he's a good tennis player, and it'd be good to see him out there again soon. So fingers crossed, all this kerfuffle with his dad smooths over soon, and he can move on with his tennis.
Yeah, it's hard for him to be copping it when he didn't really do anything.
Well, that's right. Yeah,
sad.
Yeah, it said in an article in the Advertiser today, said that it was reported that John Tomic smacked Bernard in the mouth at a training session the other week and made him bleed. So you don't want that stuff going on. So I think it's time for Bernie to find a new coach. I think
move on.
Yeah, that's it. But
so, we've got some latest results from tennis. In the Madrid Open we were talking about last week, Rafael Nadal won the men's side of the draw after beating Wawrinka in the final. On the women's side, Serena Williams defeated Sharapova in the final. So probably expected winners there.
Yeah, no big surprises there.
And in the Rome tournament that you mentioned just before, it's up to the quarterfinals for both men and women. Serena Williams is the number 1 seed and will take on Dominika Cibulkova in the quarterfinals. Sam Stosur is the 9th seed and will play Petra Kvitova in her match. Other players in the round of 16 are Lee Na, who takes on Jelena Jankovic. Sloane Stephens will play Maria Sharapova. I have a feeling All-American final, Williams versus Stephens. Stephens is on a good run at the moment. She's young, fit, enthusiastic, ready to go. I think she'll do well. I think she'll defeat Sharapova. If she does, she might not get past the next round, but I have a good feeling about her.
Well, fingers crossed Sammy Stosur can get in the final as well. I'd like to see Australian in the final, seeing that there hasn't been too many Australians around the place at the moment. Obviously, with Tomic sitting out and Matsovic has had a couple of tournaments off, so it'd be good to see Sammy Stosur get a win before the French Open next week.
Yes. So, on the men's side of the draw in Rome, Novak Djokovic is the number 1 seed and will take on Alexander Dolgopolov in their quarterfinal match. Federer is the 2nd seed and takes on Frenchman Gilles Simon. Other players in the round of 16 are David Ferrer, who will play Philip Kohlschreiber, Thomas Berdych, who will play Kevin Anderson. Djokovic v Federer final, I reckon.
Nadal not playing?
I don't think so.
Must set this one out. Obviously figured he's won enough.
Yeah, because it's Djokovic and Federer 1 and 2 seeds.
Yeah. I reckon Djokovic, Federer, if that's the way the draw pans out, if they're at opposite sides of the draw to each other.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Australia, as we mentioned, is not doing too well at the moment. Sam Stosur seems to be keeping our tennis hopes alive. She's ranked 10th in the world at the moment, with 110 ranking places between her and the next Australian women. Anastasia Rodionova, who's currently ranked 130 in the world. Teenager Ashley Barty is the 6th ranked Aussie, currently at 187 in the world. So that's not too bad. She's moving up, doing well.
Good on her.
Australia only has 3 men currently ranked in the world at all. Tomic at 52, Matasevic at 60, and Leighton Hewitt at 83.
I guess the positive for that is they're on the top 100, the top 90. So,
and all the top women are in the top 200. So that's looking good, but still,
you like them a little bit higher, wouldn't you? I guess Ashley Barty, though, she's still early in her career, so give her a couple of years, and once
hopefully she doesn't burn out.
That's it. Hopefully, once she's finished school, she'll be on the circuit a little bit more. So,
good luck.
Good luck. That's right.
We've got some ice hockey news next.
Yes, we've got some ice hockey news. So the Adelaide Adrenaline played 2 games on the weekend against the Melbourne Ice after having the last 3 weeks off. So they had a mixed bag of results. They won the first game 6-4 and lost the second game 9-3, unfortunately. So the scorers in the first game, we had Britt Olay scoring 2, his brother Travis Olay scoring 1, Wahib Daj scoring 1, Joseph Razak scoring 1, and Luke Blaine scoring 1 as well. So, and then in the second game, we had Britt Olay scoring again with 1, Joseph Razak scoring another 1, and Luke Blaine again scoring 1. So Britt and Travis Olay are both from Canada as well as Luke Blaine. So they all had good games on the weekend. So good to see some imports doing well for the Adrenaline. And also the New Zealand national goalkeeper Rick Parry played his first game for the Adrenaline on the weekend and played really well in his first full game in the first game. So good to see a couple of the imports doing well. So now just got to get all the local boys mixing in with them, and hopefully they can grab a few more wins. But they're sitting 5th at the moment after 4 games with 2 wins, 2 losses. So they're
being consistent?
Yeah, being consistent. So 50-50 at the moment. But Melbourne Ice is sitting top at the moment. So it was a tough ask. So to come away with a one win from that's probably not a bad result. In the second game they had, Melbourne Ice have got the 3 top scorers in the competition at the moment with Matt Armstrong, Joseph Hughes and Jason Beklig. And they all scored 2 goals each in the second game. So that goes a long way to winning the game for them, I think. So hopefully the Adrenaline, their next game's in Newcastle on the 26th of May, so in a couple of weekends' time. So hopefully they can get back on the winners list there and move their way up the ladder. And
we did our second Between the Posts recording on Tuesday night at their training, and we interviewed Carson Sinclair.
Correct.
And we sense a little bit of rivalry with our In the Sin Bin segment. They seem to be wanting stitching each other up, so it's a good little fun end to the interview, bit of team banter. It seems like fun. And this Saturday they've got a Meet the Team brunch, which fans are invited to. We'll be there. It's a gold coin donation at 10:30 a.m. at the Hotel Royal on Henley Beach Road in Torrensville. So if you're available, go down there, meet the players, talk to us. Should be good morning.
Exactly right. Good morning and good cause as well. Go and have a look at the Adelaide Adrenaline boys and So what have you got for us now, Celeste? Got some netball.
Round 8 of the ANZ Netball Championships was played on the weekend, and as we said last week, the Thunderbirds were taking on West Coast Fever over in the West. Thunderbirds were victors by a nail-biting 2 goals.
Could have been more.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch much of it, but 2 goals is still a good result. Good
win. I think they're up by 13 goals, I think, partway through the third quarter and up by 10 at 3/4 time. So it would have been nice for them to run away with a little bit more and help their percentage, seeing it so close to the top of the ladder at the moment with them and the Vixens and the Firebirds. But
a win's a win.
A win's a win, exactly right. So they maintain top spot.
Yeah, they play in Adelaide this Sunday at Netball SA Stadium against the New South Wales Swifts. So I think Thunderbirds will win. The Swifts are sitting second to bottom on the ladder with only 1 win for the season. So looking the goods for that game, I think. If you're free, head on down up to Netball SA Stadium.
Yeah, support the girls, get around them.
Yeah, we've got some cycling.
Yes, we've got some cycling. So we've got Aussie Cadell Evans is currently competing in the Giro d'Italia, which is pretty much the next big cycling event behind the Tour de France. So he's currently sitting in second position, which is really good after stage 10, after the first week. He's only 41 seconds down on leader Vincenzo Nibali from Team Astana, who's an Italian. So good for the Italians to have someone wearing the pink jersey at the moment, the leader's jersey. But last year's Tour de France winner Bradley Wiggins is currently in 4th position as well, 2 minutes and 5 seconds behind Nibali. So hopefully Cadel Evans can keep going with his good form. He's been racing pretty well from all accounts in the first week, so hopefully he can continue to mount an attack, and hopefully he can come away with the pink leader's jersey, and it'll be a perfect walk-in for the lead up for the Tour de France in a couple of months' time. So hopefully he can keep that up.
We'll talk about some SANFL next. What have you got for us?
Yeah, SANFL. So Norwood coach Nathan Bassett's in the news again for the wrong reasons, unfortunately. He's found himself in another conflict with the SANFL, stating that their team, Norwood's playing in the Foxtel Cup, which is a competition where
East Fremantle, is that right?
Yep, they're playing East Fremantle next week on Tuesday night. So it's a competition where all the best clubs from the next tier down from AFL, so SANFL, VFL, Waffle, NEAFL, all those teams come together and play off against each other. So, as I said, their Norwood's team next game is scheduled for next Tuesday night, which is only 3 days after their game this weekend. So Nathan Bassett's come out and said that this doesn't give his side enough time to recover and doesn't give his older players enough time to recover. So he's stating that they're going to boycott the game by playing a non-full strength side. Because he said that the SANFL would promise them a bye in the lead up, or that their game would be placed on their Foxtel Cup game would be placed on a weekend and they have the bye. The SANFL have come out today after Bassett made these comments yesterday and said this isn't true, and that the plan has always been that Norwood would have a bye the weekend after their Foxtel Cup game. So are supposed to play this weekend on a Saturday, and then they play their Foxtel Cup game on a Tuesday night, and then they have the bye the following weekend. So I think that's fair.
But it would make more sense to have it before.
It would. You're right. But at the same time, it's when it's scheduled, and you just got to go hard for a couple of days, and then you've got a whole 2 weeks off nearly. So I think Bass has just got to suck it in.
Bonnet.
Yeah, that's it. Just got to suck it up and move on, I think. And if the SANFL have had this in place since the start of the season, like they say they have, then I think Bassett's just got to live with it.
Yeah, but in more positive news, the SANFL had a huge win over the NEAFL on Saturday, winning by 82 points. The Foss Williams medalist for best on ground was given to the West Adelaide captain Ryan Ferguson, who played across half-back all game. So that was promising. The under-22s match was won by the NEAFL by 6 points. And in the under-18s, it was 2 South Australian teams, the Red Squad and Blue Squad, and the Red Squad took out the match by 53 points.
Wow.
So some positive results there, looking good.
Yeah, good to see that the SANFL had a big win.
Yes. We've got some different, we haven't really spoken about it before, women's football. There was the draft last night, if you'd like to tell us about that. Yeah,
so this is a sort of a first-off thing for the AFL. They've introduced this. They're going to have a game in women's round, which is in mid-June, and they're going to have a game between a curtain raiser to the Western Bulldogs Melbourne game. So what they had last night is they had a women's draft. So 200 women from all over Australia put their names into this draft, and the Bulldogs and Melbourne were going to pick a squad each of 25 girls, so 50 girls in total would get picked out of the 200. So they had a draft last night, and we had 3 South Australians drafted, with Courtney Crammy from Morphettville Park being the highest pick, going to the Western Bulldogs with pick 38. We also had Alexandra Price from Port Adelaide going to Melbourne with number 47, and Bronwyn Davey from Greenacres going to Melbourne with pick 49. So they were the 3 SA selections, and Daisy Pearce from Darebin Falcons in Victoria was the number 1 pick going to the Melbourne Demons. So I think it's a very good idea. I think
I really like it. It's good.
I'd like to see it,
especially for women's round. It's perfect.
Oh yeah, exactly right. So I think it'd be good if they even had this as a proper competition and opened it up to all AFL clubs, and had all AFL clubs have a women's team maybe not all AFL clubs, but most AFL clubs, even if there was
Perhaps
just like a South Australian side, a couple of Victorian sides, a Queensland side and a Western Australian side or something like that. I think it'd be good to see a women's competition in play. There's a lot of reading the articles in the Advertiser. There's a lot of girls that are disappointed that they couldn't play AFL standard football. So it'd be good to see a competition like that introduced, I think.
Andrew, if you're listening, that's our proposal. Sort it out.
That's it, mate. That's it. Exactly right.
Speaking of AFL, we'll move on to a bit of AFL news.
Yes, unfortunately the umpires are coming under a little bit of controversy again this week. It was pushed in the back last week, and this week it's the bump. So the bump has been a bit of a controversial topic for the last couple of years, and it's reared its head again this week with James Kelly handed a 2-match ban for his bump on Essendon player Brendan Goddard.
Yes, I did see that.
So it was a bit of a shirt front, and there's been a lot of controversy about this. There's people that are saying that the bump's dead and that he shouldn't have got 2 games for it, and that what are you supposed to do? And it's interesting. There's been a little bit of talk on Twitter going on.
Twitter time?
Yeah,
Yes.
Twitter time. So Brendan Goddard on Saturday tweeted, "Good hit last night, James Kelly. Old-fashioned shirt front. Hashtag fair game. Hashtag play on. Hashtag memory bank." With James Kelly replying, "Brendan Goddard, thanks mate. Hashtag we'll keep an eye out on you next time. Hashtag nervous. Hashtag cracking game. Hashtag sore today." So good to see that there was sort of all forgiven, and obviously they moved on, and it's just part of the game, really. A bump should be just a part of the game, and then on Monday, when the match review panel handed down the 2-game suspension to James Kelly, a few of the players jumped on Twitter, including Geelong captain Joel Selwood, saying, "Sad day, the bump is dead." And Crows Tex Walker jumping
from
on
his
there.
chair.
Yeah, from his chair. "So I get it. Can't bump, slide or tackle anymore. Okay. When will the tags be coming out to play? Hashtag please let us play the game we love." So it's caused a bit of confusion again this week. So unfortunately for the umpires, they can't take a break at the moment.
Yeah. So speaking of umpires, and they've been coming under a lot of scrutiny lately, especially the last couple of weeks. We had the chance to have a chat with the head of the SANFL umpires, Shane Harris. So we'll play that interview for you now.
Yeah.
Can you just explain to us a bit of a background about your role within the SANFL?
I'm the state umpiring manager. I look after umpiring in the state in regard to recruitment, retention, management of the SANFL umpires from under 16s through to seniors, and also coach the field umpires and employ part-time people to coach the boundaries and goals.
Do you deal much with AFL umpires and umpiring authority?
Yeah, very much so. All AFL matches here I look after from an AFL point of view. So for the big Jeff Geeshan and Rowan Sawyers, who's their coaches, I do the games here and send all the information back via email, and I communicate with the umpires before and after the game.
During the week there's been speculation that the bump is on the out of the AFL. What's your opinion?
I think the bump is out of AFL football, mainly due to players not going for the footy. If you go for the football and the player's got the footy and you stay at the same level, i.e. don't hit them in the head, then the bump is legal.
Do you think there's been a few players get on Twitter during the week, like Joel Selwood got on Twitter earlier on in the week and said that sad day, the bump is dead. Do you think it's appropriate for these kind of players to sort of come out and say things like that?
No, because I think it just confuses the spectators, the fans that go. Also, the bump isn't dead in relation. If you go for the football, and if the player's got the football, then he's fair game to be bumped. How hard do you determine? But having said that, if you go high or he hasn't got the football, then that player shouldn't be expected to be bumped.
Yeah. And the last couple of weeks there's been a bit of talk about the push in the back rule and all that kind of stuff. Do you think it's, with all the different rule changes going on now, do you think it's getting a bit confusing, or do you think it's just the way that it's being interpreted that's being the problem, or what do you think the problem is there?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think over the last couple of weeks we've had some 50-50 free kicks in marking contests where we've had hands in the back. Does it propel the player forward? We're not sure. I'm a great believer that at SANFL level, and we preach it to our umpires, that unless it's obvious and blatant he's pushed him out, then don't pay it. So eliminate the 50-50 call, which will make it consistent.
I heard Andrew Jarman say on his radio show that you should take over Jeff Geesham's job. What do you think about that?
Family won't let me go back to Melbourne. No. Look, it would be fantastic, but look, I love developing young umpires. SANFL footy is still strong and vibrant, and it's probably the best environment nationally to develop young umpires. And I just think that's my forte, is developing the young ones who achieve AFL, and you get a lot of satisfaction. Yeah, it would be interesting. It would be tough job.
How do you teach the umpires to deal with a crowd that's mouthing off?
It's probably in the first couple of years, and it's very tough if you can imagine under 10s, under 12s, where you've got parents screaming on the sidelines. And but that environment's improved. We always preach to the young umpires that don't take it personally. These parents are frustrated players who are trying to play through their kids, and as long as it's not in your face, it's not, behavioural that's going to threaten the umpire, then we just preach it's water off a duck's back. They're just frustrated, leave it alone.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Can you just explain to us a bit of a background about your role within the SANFL?
I'm the state umpiring manager. I look after umpiring in the state. In regard to recruitment and retention.
Thanks to Shane Harris for agreeing to do that interview.
Thank you for his time.
It was very insightful. It was good to see the other point of view from the other side of things, so it was good. And while we're on the match review panel, we've got Eddie Betts received a 5-match ban for his hit on St Kilda's Nathan Wright, but it was reduced to a 3-game suspension with an early guilty plea. Colin Sylvia from Melbourne accepted a 3-match ban for striking Gold Coast Jared Brennan, and Heath Shaw from Collingwood copped a 1-week ban for his hit on Fremantle's Hayden Ballantyne. So a couple of blokes out for a couple of weeks there. And also during the week, there's been a lot of talk about the fixtures for the coming years. Yes. So there's been a lot of talk about trying to get the AFL starting about the same time as the NRL and the rugby to try and compete with those games in the rugby-dominated states, so Queensland and Sydney, and obviously with Greater Western Sydney now coming in as well, they need to try and compete for that area as well. So there's been a lot of talk about pushing the start of the season back to the start of March and reducing the NAB Cup to 2-3 games. So there's a lot of players that put their support behind this, and that would mean that there's 24 rounds instead of 22, with 2 in-season buys as well, instead of just the one. So I think that's a good idea. I think at the moment the NAB Cup seems to be just dragging on just that little bit too long, and as most of the coaches have been saying this week, and Brendan Sanderson mentioned it yesterday in one of his press conferences, that by the second or third week you're pretty much ready to go ready to go for the season. So it seems silly to drag the NAB Cup out for any longer, and the teams that are out of the NAB Cup final by the end of it are just sort of playing their younger kids anyway. So I think it's going to be more beneficial if they start it just that little bit earlier.
And I did hear talks of scrapping the NAB Cup altogether and just having a few trial games that they used to, which would, I think, work in well with that.
Oh, for sure.
Starting earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the way to go. But the problem with starting it earlier is all the grounds that are used, like the MCG and Adelaide Oval, SCG, they're all still being used for cricket. So that's going to be the main problem that the AFL are going to have to deal with, and Andrew Demetrio's got to sort of smooth out a few things, but they're going to be the main problems. And the Cricket World Cup's here in 2015, I believe. So that's going to be end of February, start of March. So that'll mean that's going to be out for even longer. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years. But I think it's definitely a good idea to have that, to compete against the NRL. You're going to need to start at the same time as them. You can't give them a 3-week head start, I think. So, and especially after Kevin Sheedy's comments on the weekend about
what were they?
He had a crack at the Western Sydney Wanderers, which is a soccer team in Sydney. They're the new team that's just been introduced, and saying that their number one recruit is the immigration department.
Rightio.
So he had a bit of a dip there, unfortunately. So with all his work that he does with Indigenous people and all the Indigenous communities, all the good work that he's done, it's kind of almost not undoing it, but it's
backpedaling slightly.
So he defended his comments the other day and said that it's not exactly what he meant, but he's just unhappy that the Greater Western Sydney Wanderers have come straight into the soccer competition, and all of a sudden got all these fans and have been playing finals. They played in the grand final this year. So, whereas Greater Western Sydney had the lowest ever attendance in an AFL game with 5,000 and something on the weekend against the Crows. So I think it was just a little bit frustrated. So hopefully Greater Western Sydney can pick up in the next couple of years. I'm sure they will with the young list that they've got. So. And
I did hear talks of trying to get the first match at Adelaide Oval being a showdown on Friday night.
Yeah.
And I don't think Friday night is going to happen, but then there was Saturday Twilight, which is going to be good.
Yeah, I think they just need that a little bit of extra time to get it quite right. And, I think Saturday would be the time to do it, I think. So, yeah. So, results from last weekend.
Last weekend, we had the top of the table clash last Friday night, Geelong and Essendon. Geelong continuing their undefeated run of the season, winning by 28 points. Port Adelaide had their second loss of the season against Richmond, losing by 41 points. West Coast defeated Brisbane by 26 points, which was probably was going to happen, I think.
Yeah.
North Melbourne defeated Western Bulldogs by 54 points. Hawthorn defeated Sydney by 37 points. Probably thought it would have been a bit closer than that.
Yeah, 37. The grand final rematch.
Fremantle defeated Collingwood by 27 points. That probably wasn't expected, even though it was over in the West.
Yeah.
And Adelaide Crows, I suppose you could say, thrashed GWS by 135 points. And a whopping 10 goals by Tom Lynch.
Yes.
And you'd be pretty happy if you had Paddy Dangerfield as your dream team captain last round.
Oh, yeah. 145 or thereabouts, I think it was,
Gold Coast defeated Melbourne by 60 points. Poor Melbourne. And on Monday night, St Kilda defeated Carlton by 9 points. And I liked the Monday night.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Did like it.
Yeah, it gives you an extra day to watch the footy.
Yeah. Nothing to do on a Monday night.
No,
watch footy. If I was in Melbourne, I would definitely go.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Good idea, I think. I think it should happen more often.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're running out of time, but we'll quickly go through this round's games quickly.
So this week we have West Coast versus the Kangaroos at Pattinson Stadium tomorrow night. So that'll be a close game.
North Melbourne, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon North Melbourne as well.
Yep.
Even though it's over there. We have Essendon and Brisbane at Etihad Stadium on Saturday afternoon.
Essendon, surely.
Yeah, I think Essendon will win that one quite comfortably. Then we have, this one could be a bit of a blowout. We have Hawthorn versus the Giants in Tasmania at Aurora Stadium.
Yeah.
So I think Hawthorn will win that one.
Or they might come, hopefully it's a bit close in the Crows game, because they might, feel a bit bad after that bigger loss and come back firing, but we'll see.
Well, that's it. We have the Gold Coast versus the Bulldogs at Metricon Stadium up on the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast.
I think Gold Coast will win that one as well. We have Collingwood and Geelong at the MCG on Saturday night. That'll be a big game, a really good game.
Geelong.
But I think, Geelong will do it comfortably, I think. Dale Thomas was reported of doing an injury yesterday at training.
His ankle, I think.
Yeah, so he's in doubt for this week, he's been in some good form the last couple of weeks, so I think that'll hurt them a little bit, but I think, Geelong will do it comfortably. Then we have Sydney and Fremantle at the SCG.
Ooh.
I think Sydney will win. Yeah, I think.
Hopefully it's close, but...
Yeah, I think it'll be a close game, but I think Sydney will do it quite comfortably at home. Then we have, on Sunday, we have Carlton and Port Adelaide at Etihad Stadium. I think Carlton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Carlton will get up on that one. Then we have Richmond and Melbourne at the MCG. Richmond will continue Melbourne's pain, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we have the Crows and St Kilda at Amy Stadium to finish off round 8.
Crows.
Yep, I think the Crows will win as well. Well, we're just about out of time, I think. So thanks again for tuning in this week to Mad Mondays with Patrick and Celeste. You can check us out on Spreaker or Ozsports Online, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Mad Mondays 13.
Yes. Be sure to watch out Between the Posts episodes each week.
Yeah.
This one's coming up soon, so looking forward to it.
So keep your eyes peeled on YouTube, and then next week on YouTube again for next week's. So thanks for listening again, and we'll talk to you all next week.
Thank you.